Hello, everybody. Tracy, Mrs. JDog Flanagan with you here today. I'm the co-founder and senior vice president at JDog Brands. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Tactical Treasures Podcast, powered by Vet TV and JDog. Our podcast gives veterans, mil spouses, active military members, and military family members a voice in the veteran space to speak about their service, how they're affecting their communities post-service, and they share with me a tactical treasure from their past that has helped them in their journey in their military career, business, or life. Today, I have the exciting pleasure of speaking with Sonya Bohmann, who is a strong and passionate advocate for mental health and suicide prevention. She is actively involved in various suicide prevention organizations, including positions as board chair and advocacy chair of the Greater Philadelphia chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, as well as serving as an executive board member of the Delaware County Suicide Prevention Task Force and the TKD Foundation. Most recently, Sonya was appointed the role of executive director at the Construction Industry Alliance for Suicide Prevention, spearheading their suicide prevention initiatives. Wow, that sounds amazing, Sonya. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm very excited to speak with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
That's awesome. So, you are the executive director at the Construction Industry Alliance for Suicide Prevention. That sounds very interesting. What started your journey in the advocacy for suicide prevention and specifically within the construction industry?
Tracy, thanks for asking that question. I'm a loss survivor. I lost my sister to suicide 15 years ago, and that really started my journey to advocating for and being a part of having the conversation about suicide awareness and prevention. What we know is that if we talk about it, it erases the stigma and allows for more people in the space to feel like it is an opportunity to have conversations that were typically taboo. My passion in the construction industry, though, comes from working in reconstruction at a company called Brand Point Services for the last 10 years. And so being able to marry those two passions, that's really where my work with the TKD Foundation started. Brand Point's social purpose is around TKD. So when I had an opportunity to take what I loved in construction and what I'm passionate about in suicide prevention and work for the Construction Industry Alliance for Suicide Prevention, it was a no-brainer for me. It was really an opportunity to do what I feel like I'm meant to be doing.
Wow. So I'm interested to understand the construction industry demographic crossing over with the veteran population. How does that work out?
So a big piece of the construction demographic is really veterans. It's a great place to come back in and re-enter the workforce. And so a large piece of our constituents are veterans themselves. And what we unfortunately know is that veterans have a very high rate of suicide. Typically, it's 1.5 times greater than those the other rates of suicide.
Right. Yeah, I being in the veteran space, I know they say 22 a day, but it's even more than that. So I understand that. And, that kind of makes sense that I can see how the construction industry would attract our veterans because a lot of our veterans are used to, manual labor and working with their hands and being out in the elements and that sort of thing. And it's a comfortable transition for a lot of them. So yeah, that definitely really, I can understand how that kind of goes hand in hand. Hello, viewers and listeners. I would like to introduce you to the JDog Foundation, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the prevention of veteran suicide and the healing of veterans' mental health. 100% of all proceeds received by the JDog Foundation goes directly to several foundations focused on the mission of saving veterans' lives. Each partner is hand-selected by our executive director, Tracy Flanagan, with input from the assistant director, Tracy Flanagan, and the JDog Foundation board members. Our foundation's motto: saving lives, one veteran at a time. Go to jdogfoundation.org to take a look at everything that we're doing there and the organizations that we're partnered with. You can also donate, and there's also a support line if you're in need of help. Thanks. Check us out, jdogfoundation.org. So you also serve as the board chair and advocacy chair of the Greater Philadelphia chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Wow, that is a mouthful.
It is.
As well as the executive board member of the Delaware County Suicide Prevention Task Force and the TKD Foundation. You're involved in so much. That's really amazing. Could you talk to us how you became involved in each of these organizations and the work that you're doing there?
Absolutely. So my work in the TKD Foundation really came out of it being part of the social purpose at Brandpoint Services. It is a local grassroots organization that really focuses around suicide prevention in the Downingtown, the Pennsylvania area, where we support 3 local high schools with scholarships, as well as advocacy work in and around the community. Unfortunately, it's a community that's been touched by suicide in a very big way. They've had multiple losses within their high schools and in the community at large. And so it's something that, we saw a need for and really have been focusing on. And that, once you are sort of in that space, sadly, It is a club that nobody wants to belong to. But it's certainly one that has really great membership, and the people there are tireless advocates and want to promote suicide awareness and erase that stigma, whether it's with veterans or youth or the general population. So being able to connect with others really was what connected me to the Delaware County Task Force. I live in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, and part of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention as well.
Wow. And could you, TKD, what actually does that stand for?
It's the Todd K. Delaney Foundation. It was started by several friends of and Todd's brother, Scott, to be able to, make sure that Todd's memory doesn't end in vain, and that we're able to make some good out of something that is a tragedy, unfortunately.
Yeah. I understand that. So I understand that there are 2 upcoming events in September and October surrounding mental health and suicide prevention. September actually is Suicide Awareness Month. And could you talk to us about these events? I'm very interested to hear about them.
Absolutely. So the TKD Foundation does have some events that we do in September every year. On the Saturday after Labor Day, we have a golf outing. It is typically held in Chester County. So this year it is at Innisgrove Golf Course. And we also have a poker tournament on Friday night, which would be, so if the golf tournament is I believe it is September 9th, then the poker tournament is the 8th. Those 2 events raise money for the scholarships that we support, as well as some of those funds go to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And their big event is the Out of the Darkness Walk, which is on October 1st.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So Out of the Darkness Walk, how does that, where does that take place? And is it really in the dark, or I know it's called Out of the Darkness, but is it a day event, or?
It's a little bit of a play on words, but we do start bright and early. So certainly if you were there at registration, it may still be dark. But the walk is at the Art Museum in Philadelphia. And we do, the events typically kick off around 7 with registration, 7 a.m. And the walk begins at 9, and we walk up Kelly Drive and turn around. It's a little less than a 5K. And it's really a great opportunity for thousands of Philadelphians and those in sort of the tri-state area to come together and be in a place where everybody has a common goal, and that's erasing the stigma around suicide.
Wow. That sounds like some really great events. So how can people sign up for these events or get involved? Is there 1 or 2 places that they may go to get more information?
So the TKD Foundation does have a website, or you can reach out to me as well. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. But the Out of the Darkness Walk, you can find that at afsp.org/Greater Philadelphia, or Out of the Darkness Philly Walk. You can find that, again, all over social media and all over the web as well.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Hello, viewers and listeners. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Tactical Treasures, where we are currently speaking with Sonya Bohmann, who is a strong and passionate advocate for mental health and suicide prevention. She is actively involved in various suicide prevention organizations. One of them, the Out of Darkness Community Walk, hosted by the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, is a journey of remembrance, hope, and support. It unites our communities and provides an opportunity to acknowledge the ways in which suicide and mental health conditions have affected our lives and the lives of those we love and care about. On October 1st, the Out of Darkness Community Walk will be held here in Philadelphia, and throughout the year, there are walks held in hundreds of cities across the country. To find out more, register to walk or to sign up to volunteer or donate directly to the cause, head to supporting.afsp.org. We would also like to bring attention to the Crisis Text Line. The Crisis Text Line is a global, not-for-profit organization providing free mental health texting service through confidential crisis intervention via SMS message. If you are a veteran in crisis, you can text the word VET to the number 741-741. Again, that number is 741-741, and text the word VET to be connected with a crisis counselor. So let's dive into your treasure. What would you like to share with us today?
So my tactical treasure would be starting the conversation. If you were to ask my kids, they will tell you that I put the mom in awkward moments. Having that conversation around this topic is something that I feel is truthfully life-saving, and being able to be an ally or a support system and an open place for someone to come and erase that stigma is really what I think is my tactical treasure.
That's a great tactical treasure. It obviously goes along with what you're doing and your whole passion. I love it. And I've heard that, the first thing to do is if you can talk about things, if you can sit down with somebody and open up to them, and it can really not only remove stigma, but it can help with mental health. And
absolutely.
Yeah. So, we have a lot of things going on here at JDog, but one of them is our JDog Foundation, and we focus on mental health and suicide prevention, and we partner with a few organizations to fundraise for them. Irreverent Warriors is one of them, and we have a strategic partnership with Stop Soldier Suicide. They're wonderful. So it's nice to be able to have resources. I know for us here at JDog, just because we are in the veteran space all the time, and we come across veterans, who may struggle from time to time. And it's good to know that there's places where we can send them and have them get help and start conversations, because it all starts with a conversation, right?
Absolutely. There's some great resources out there. 988.org, preventconstructionsuicide.com, afsp.org, NAMI.org. Certainly, there's lots and lots of resources in this space. And we just hope to be able to help those in need access them when they need them.
Right. Yeah, that's really important. So if there are individuals that we come across that are struggling with thoughts of that nature, what advice would you have for them?
So reach out to someone who is a trusted and safe space for you. And if you don't have that person, then certainly reach out to 988. It is the new crisis hotline. It's been in place for about a year now. It does not necessarily have to be someone who's in full crisis. If you just need someone to talk to or need access to resources that you feel like you can't reach, you can call or text. You can also text 741-741. There's specific, if you are a veteran, you can type in veteran, or you can identify yourself as a veteran immediately on the call, and you will be guided through resources that are strictly for veterans as well.
Oh, that's good to know. Really, really great advice. Thank you. So our listeners and our viewers that are watching this amazing podcast, what takeaway would you want them to have if it was just one thing from this conversation that we've been having today? What would that be?
Start the conversation. Start the conversation, whether you are feeling like you are in need of someone to listen, or you feel like you have come across someone who is acting differently, or you've noticed a change in behavior. Don't assume that someone else will ask, and don't assume that the question will put a thought in their head. Be the one that says, hey, listen, I'm concerned about you. Do you have a plan? And then stick around to listen. But you also have to be aware that the first time you ask, you may not get an answer. You might just get the typical, I'm fine. So ask the question again and wait for the response.
Good advice. Great advice. So can you just reiterate for us again where people can find and connect with you and where they can find out more information about the work that you're involved with?
Absolutely. You can find me on LinkedIn at Sonya Bohmann. You can also find me on the CIASP website, which is the Construction Industry Alliance for Suicide Prevention, at preventconstructionsuicide.com. You can also connect with me on Facebook or Instagram as well. Or you can go to afsp.org/Greater Philadelphia. That's great.
Sonya, thank you so much for sharing everything that you have. And I really love your passion and everything that you had to share today. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciated it.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for having this conversation.
Happy to. It was a pleasure. Thanks. You so much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hello, viewers and listeners. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Tactical Treasures Podcast, where we have just finished up an amazing conversation with Sonya Bohmann, who is a strong and passionate advocate for mental health and suicide prevention. And she is currently the board chair and advocacy chair of the Greater Philadelphia chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And she is currently involved with the Out of the Darkness Community Walk, which is hosted by the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. It is a journey of remembrance, hope, and support. It unites our communities and provides an opportunity to acknowledge the ways in which suicide and mental health conditions have affected our lives and the lives of those we love and care about. On October 1st, the Out of the Darkness Community Walk will be held here in Philadelphia, and throughout the rest of the year, there are walks held in hundreds of cities across the country. To find out more, register to walk, or to sign up to volunteer or donate directly to the cause, head to supporting.afsp.org. Thank you again for tuning into this episode of Tactical Treasures. And don't forget, you can find Tactical Treasures podcast on all your favorite streaming platforms, as well as Vet TV. We are now airing on Reach Across America Radio on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. And if you missed that episode, there's an encore on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can also find Reach Across America Radio on the iHeartRadio app, the Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on another podcast. Bye-bye now.